guys, in today's top 5, I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite book couples from 2019. So, I've been doing this yearly, every year in the month of February, since February is the month of love, I suppose, because of Valentine's Day. However you feel about Valentine's Day, that's up to you. But either way, I've been doing this yearly, and then I like to reflect on what my favorite book couples were from the previous year. So, yeah, I was actually able to narrow it down very quickly this year, because I realized when I was kind of looking through all my books that I read last year, it kind of hit me. I was like, you know what, I don't think I had too many book couples that I was, you know, like legitimately shipping die hard, you know what I mean? So yeah, I managed to find 5 that appealed to me last year. So yeah, let's get going. At number 5 is a classic, I suppose, and this is from the spellbook of Katrina Van Tassel by Alyssa Palumbo, and this is a Sleepy Hollow retelling, you guys. I was very pleasantly surprised with this book, to be quite honest, because I was worried that it might not be too good, because sometimes retellings can be hit or miss. There's retellings that are really awesome and great, and then there's retellings it's like the author missed the point. But yeah, I really loved Alyssa Palumbo's retelling of Sleepy Hollow, and yeah, especially retelling it through the eyes of Katrina Van Tassel, because if you know anything about Washington Irving's original Sleepy Hollow, Katrina, I don't think she really says anything in his original story. She's kind of just the object of lust for Ichabod Crane. And so yeah, I really loved what Alyssa Palumbo was doing with this retelling, making that focal point all on Katrina, and yet really fleshing out the Katrina and Ichabod relationship and making it mean something and making it just all worth it. And yeah, really making them equals, you know, rather than Ichabod kind of being above Katrina, you know, like he is in the original. Alyssa Palumbo does a fantastic job making them equals, that they have common interests, and more importantly, they very much support each other in their greater endeavors and their dreams and whatnot. And that's really important to me with couples, you know, that it's not like one-sided, that there is like an equalness to it, I suppose, if that makes sense. So yeah, I loved Katrina and Ichabod. They were just so adorable. So yeah, I definitely recommend this. I recommend this book if you love all things Sleepy Hollow, if you're curious, you know, kind of a more modernized adaptation of it. It still takes place in a historical setting, like right after the American Revolution, but the story is definitely a little bit more modernized and adapted, you know, for a current audience to kind of get into it and understand the time period. So yeah, if you like historical fiction, if you like all things Sleepy Hollow, yeah. And if you really want a really good romance with Katrina and Ichabod, you guys, I definitely recommend this. I think it's well worth it. At number 4, I have a love triangle. I don't even want to call it a love triangle, you guys, because a lot of times when love triangle is mentioned, it's kind of implied that, you know, somebody loves somebody else and then somebody else loves somebody else. You know, like, not all 3 people love each other. It's kind of like for instance, if it's 2 guys and a girl, the girl may kind of be attracted to both guys, and then the guys are attracted to the girl. But yeah, like, not everybody is attracted to each other a lot of times when you talk about a love triangle. So I'm a little bit hesitant to call this a love triangle, because this particular relationship that I'm about to talk about, it's like so much more than a love triangle. I guess I'll explain that. Yeah, I haven't even mentioned what the book is in question yet, and it is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, and this is the 3rd and final book in the Dark Artifices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, like I said. And the trio in question is Christina, Mark, and Kieran. So, for starters, if you're not quite sure what this book is about, it's the third book in a trilogy out of a greater, larger universe that Cassandra Clare has set up. So I'm not going to really spend too much kind of getting into everything, because if you've not read all the other books, then there's really no point in me bothering trying to explain everything to you. But overall, the Shadowhunter universe by Cassandra Clare, it's about teenagers who have like angelic abilities, they have super strength and speed, and they essentially fight monsters, you know, whether that's werewolves or vampires or demons or whatever. So that's the general idea of what the Shadowhunters is about, if you don't know. But yeah, this particular book, we have Christina, who is human, but she's a Shadowhunter. We have Mark, who is half human, half fae or fairy, and then you have Kieran, who is pure fae or fairy. So that brings an interesting dynamic to this trio of characters and their love story, because you have the Shadowhunter, a half human and fairy, and then a fairy. So you guys, this freaking trio, like I said, I'm very hesitant to call it a love triangle, because saying love triangle kind of implies a different sort of meaning, I suppose, and it's not really fair to call this a love triangle, because these three characters, oh my goodness, for me personally, I am not really into like a triangle of people, okay? I'm personally not into that lifestyle or that way of life. To me, it's just a little odd and strange. But yeah, there are people out there in the real world who do live that way, that they're in a relationship with two other people, and everybody in the relationship, they just kind of date each other and do their thing with each other. So yeah, that type of lifestyle, it does exist in the real world. It's not personally for me. I find it a little odd and strange. So yeah, when Cassandra Clare first introduced this idea of this trio, it wasn't at first very appealing to me, because I was like, I just don't get this, you know, I don't get it, I don't get this lifestyle. I don't imagine this trio working out in the end. But Cassandra Clare, you know, without going into spoilers with this final book too much, I suppose, I mean, she makes this trio of characters work, and by the time you get to this final book, you are rooting for all three of these characters to be together as a trio. You don't want just Christina and Mark, or Christina and Kieran, or Mark and Kieran. You want it to totally be Christina, Mark, and Kieran all the way. You know, you don't want any sort of divide within the relationship. And I just really liked this trio, you guys. It on the surface, if you're not into this particular type of lifestyle, it can always be a little strange and unnerving, but I found myself actually, weirdly enough, enjoying it and rooting for it and wanting the three of them to all be together and have a nice happy ending, conclusion, or whatever. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I'm going to say about this particular book, because yeah, a lot of it does verge into spoiler territory. So yeah, I do have a trio of characters in this top 5 list: Christina, Mark, and Kieran. You may love it, you may hate it, that's up to you. At number 3, I have a pairing that may be a little bit taboo. Not gonna lie, this is either gonna be for you or it's not, and that's okay. I'll get into that as I talk about this pairing. But yeah, this comes from The Night Tiger by Yang Zichu. And the pairing in question, you guys, once again, like I said, this may be a little taboo, but I loved it. We have the main character, Jilin, and her stepbrother, Shin. So yeah, let's get that out of the way. I did ship this, you guys. I shipped a young lady and her stepbrother, and I'm not sure I'm not sure if I should feel guilty or ashamed about that. I'm not quite honest, because yeah, in the real world, you guys, let's talk about the real world. In the real world, that's kind of gross to me. You know, in the real world, that is very gross to me for somebody to be dating their stepbrother, because it's just kind of, it's all sorts of wrong, I feel like. But yeah, in the context of this book, and also considering that it takes place in like a more historical setting, I found myself kind of being okay with that. and accepting it, and it didn't really bother me too much. So yeah, what is The Night Tiger about? It follows this young woman named Jilin, and she's kind of falling on some hard times. Her family is struggling financially, and yeah, to help support her family, she's taken up a couple different jobs. But yeah, this takes place in like a historical Malaysia. And yeah, she's a young woman, and her jobs are rather scandalous because she needs to have like a proper job as a young lady, or preferably no job. She needs to get married to a wealthy man. So yeah, one of her jobs is that she's working as a dance hall girl. And that's very scandalous because, yeah, she's coming in close proximity to men who are touching her body and whatnot as they're dancing together. So as she's dancing with one of her clients one night, I'll say, when she's dancing, and from this man's pocket out falls like this little vial, and inside this little vial is a finger, and that is the start of Jilin's story through this entire book, is her trying to figure out whose finger is this, where did it come from, why was it in this guy's possession to begin with. And yeah, there's a big huge narrative with this finger because Jilin is not the only main character in this book, because there's also like a little boy who's also looking for this finger as well. But yeah, focusing on just Jilin, yeah, she's trying to figure out what's up with this finger, and this brings in her stepbrother Shin. Shin is a doctor, and in the past, he and his stepsister have kind of been a little bit estranged from one another. But this quest to figure out where the hell this finger came from, this quest actually brings them closer together and helps them understand each other. And I found myself really liking their relationship and their pairing, as taboo as it is, you guys. There was just something about the two of them. It's like they're meant for each other. You know, they're meant for each other. They're the only two who truly, really understand each other. And yeah, like I said, this takes place in a historical setting in Malaysia, and women are not really allowed to have jobs or opinions, and yet Jilin really wants to be like a doctor or a nurse or something like that sometime in the future. And like I mentioned, her stepbrother Shin, he's a doctor, and she feels like he can help her reach her dreams, and yeah, he would really like to help her achieve those dreams as well. So I really liked their relationship, how it's a little hesitant at first because they have an estrangement, but yeah, the quest about this finger, this missing finger or whatever, this quest brings them closer together, and they start understanding each other and learning about each other. And yeah, I liked their relationship, yeah guys. I really liked it. I found them really sweet and cute. And like I said, it's a very taboo pairing, but I'll bypass it. I'll bypass it for the sake of this video. Like I mentioned, in real life, gross. At number 2, I have The Huntress by Kate Quinn. And the characters in question here are Tony and Jordan. So, The Huntress. What you need to know about The Huntress, this is a historical fiction novel taking place before, well not before, but during World War II, and then a lot of the story is taking place after World War II. And the big thing, the big narrative throughout this entire novel is all these various different characters trying to hunt down this woman known as the Huntress, and she's a notorious Nazi assassin, a female assassin. So that brings in the characters that I'm going to be talking about. The character of Tony, he is a Nazi hunter after the war. He comes from a Jewish background, but he is American. And then we have Jordan, who is throughout this novel, because this novel spans quite a number of years, Jordan, she starts off like at 16 years old at the beginning of the novel, and by the end of the novel she's about 18, I want to say. And yeah, Jordan, she's a young American girl. Her father has recently remarried kind of this mysterious woman. And yeah, this is kind of how Tony and Jordan's stories intertwine. Like I said, Tony is a Nazi hunter, and Jordan has just got a new stepmother. I think, without really spoiling too much there, I think you can kind of guess what the tie is. This book being called The Huntress and whatnot. How Tony and Jordan kind of tie in together eventually. So, Tony and Jordan, I really loved their relationship, you guys. They were just the cutest, most sweetest thing in the world. There is some deception early on because Tony is trying to figure out some things about, where the whereabouts of the Huntress, and he's not quite sure who the Huntress is, and that brings him into Jordan's life in various different ways as he's trying to figure out who the Huntress is and whatnot. So that does require a little bit of deception on Tony's part, that he can't outright reveal to Jordan, hey, I'm a Nazi hunter, I'm looking for a Nazi assassin. He doesn't come out and say that at all. He has to kind of be a little deceptive about it and whatnot, and he gets like a job working for Jordan's father and whatnot. So, things are a little rocky. You guys, deception is never the answer for the start of a relationship. But Tony and Jordan, like, are just so sweet, so cute. They are equal. Once again, like I mentioned earlier, I love when two characters, they have an equalness with one another, and they balance off of each other perfectly, and they don't put each other down or anything. And yeah, Jordan, she really wants to do professional photography, and Tony is totally like, yes, I want to help you achieve your dream of becoming a photographer and whatnot. So yeah, I can gush about Tony and Jordan forever. Yeah, guys, I love them. I love their dynamic. I just love how the relationship kind of starts, and how it goes kind of to the middle, and then how it ends and whatnot. Because you're just rooting for them from start to finish, and you want everything to work out in the end. And at number 1, of course, Outlander had to make the list somehow. I think Outlander has been on my list for the past several years. It's just kind of fluctuated which couple has been on the list every year. And I wasn't sure who to put on my list this year for Outlander. I was like, should it be Jamie and Claire? Should it be Roger and Brianna? It's kind of really the only options right there. And I decided to go with Roger and Brianna, making it 2 years in a row now, you guys, for Roger and Brianna being on this list. So yeah, this is The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon, book 5, I believe, book 5 in the Outlander series. And yeah, Roger and Brianna, seriously, after the events of book 4, their relationship was pretty strained and pretty rough, and a lot of uncertainty, like, where's this going? Are they going to be able to survive, and whatnot? Because once again, if you don't know what Outlander is about, it is a time travel series. Characters who are from the 1940s and 1960s, essentially, and they time travel to the 1700s Scotland and America, to make it kind of simple there. So yeah, Roger and Brianna come from the 1960s, and there's this question of, can they make it here in 1700s America and North Carolina? Can they survive? Can they make it? Can they make things work? Or yeah, will Roger time travel back to the 60s? Will Brianna want to stay with her mom and dad in the 1700s? And I really loved Roger and Brianna because yeah, the last book, it was pretty rough and pretty tense, and a lot of tension between them, and a lot of miscommunication, more importantly. And I really feel like Roger and Brianna, in this book in particular, really grew and matured, especially with their relationship, and they're starting to get a better understanding of each other, and just the things that make them tick, the things that make them angry, the things that make them happy, they're starting to get that better understanding. They're better able to navigate their relationship with one another, that they're not getting on each other's nerves so much, because yeah, that was the problem with them in the last book, just so much miscommunication and misunderstanding. So I really love them in particular in this book, just a lot more maturity, and I expect the maturity to grow even more, especially as they get older, because yeah, they're fairly young in these books, so I'm expecting that to really grow over the course of the series. So yeah, Roger and Brianna. Some people love Roger and Brianna, some people hate it. It's just kind of how you read the characters. But yeah, I personally love Roger and Brianna. And yeah, I think this is 2 years in a row now they've made my top 5 list for favorite couples. So you guys, that is it for my top 5. In the comments below, what book couples from last year did you enjoy? Who were you shipping? I had some strange ones this year, yeah guys, I'm not gonna lie. I had some strange ones, some that I should probably be guilty and ashamed about. So yeah, if you have something weird that you liked, it's okay. Feel free to go ahead and share it with me. Don't have no shame, because I'm pretty ashamed of mine. But yeah, that's it for this top 5. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.